Okay, I need a little contrast color for some decorations for my vintage truck, and I have these logs already cut. So I have kills, not that I even need something this nice, but it's literally about the only white spray can that I have right now. So I'm gonna spray paint these because I need a color contrast from what I have on my truck. Which is like a blackish green, and I want something to show up, so we're gonna paint it white. So this can is the only one that I have, and it is not spraying very well, but as long as I can get some white on it, and it doesn't need to be good, you're only gonna see these from a distance. So I'm gonna let that set a little bit, and then we'll roll them over and do the other side. Okay, here is the truck that we're working on, and I'm debating on leaving my skeleton in there and just adding a beard and a Santa hat. I think that might be kind of fun. But I am gathering things for getting ready to do a Facebook Live and decorate the truck for winter. So I'm kind of gathering things, and I need to pick up this straw, but we've already taken the pumpkins and the mums out of here, but I need to grab the straw. Now, I know I am decorating a lot later than normal because everything is frozen. And then you will note that this board, so I kind of made temporary flower boxes, and really just out of scrap wood and piecing stuff together. These have held together for probably 3 years. But this side completely fell apart here in this past month when it was decorated for fall. I don't want to deal with it right now, so we are probably just going to grab the straw, throw this board in the burn pile, and I'm going to, instead of decorating the flower boxes, I think I've decided to do more of a swag type thing here on the back, and we'll see how that goes. I think it would be cute too to just put a wreath right here or a wreath right there on the milk cans. But I want to do a little bit more. Every year I do something different. So Christmas, every Christmas season is decorated differently. One time I put a tree on the top of the cab. And for every season I do it different every time. Maybe not crazy different, but definitely different. So didn't have the milk cans in here last year, gonna leave them. But I know I'm doing it a lot later in the season because all of my dirt is frozen. And so normally what I would do is I would stab my greenery into the dirt. Well, I can't really do that because it's frozen. And so that is why I was thinking I would do some kind of swag thing here. And while I'm looking at it, the tire cover, whatever that is officially called, comes out quite a bit. So I'm not 100% sure I'm gonna like doing the swag, but we're probably gonna try it anyway. Okay, so I'm gathering things for the truck. We've got these logs that I think I'll put in front maybe as decor. I've got my branches cut. I've got this burlap that I used last year. I've got an old, it's not really a wreath, it's more like a swag maybe, or like a ribbon that I picked up when I was junking, but I like it for the color. I have those twigs that I spray painted. I have a wreath that I did last year that I will probably just dismantle and maybe use the ribbon. And I grabbed a wagon, and sorry, my it's cold out here, yet I'm sweating and it's making my nose run. And I got a wagon. Okay, so I got as much of the straw removed as I could, and the bales are gone. I grabbed that board and took it over to the burn pile and tried to scrape out some of the stuff here. The bottom of this truck was pretty much rusted out, and I just put a pretty much already weathered and ruined piece of plywood down here. But I did all of that more just so sunshine wasn't going through and growing weeds. So I already know it's soft, so I'm definitely careful when I walk on it. This board going across is nice and sturdy. So I took that board off, but I left the rest of the box for now. And the reason being is because the plan is to screw into this wood so that I have something to tie my swag to. And then I also grabbed a little shepherd's hook here, and I decided I want to hang a wreath, I think, on this middle milk can. Well, that one has a lid on it, so I think I'm just going to switch them around if they're not frozen, so that the one without the lid, I can put the shepherd's hook in there and then just hang a wreath from that. And then I will probably hang a wreath from the front of the truck as well. I'm just haven't really decided what I'm gonna do yet. First thing I'm doing here is I'm planning on 3 swags. So I want something that is gonna be lighter in color. That's why I painted these white. And I'm gonna put 2 of them together, and I'm gonna twist them together with twine. So all I did was pick my 3 pairs that I thought were gonna look the best together. A fatter one, a thinner one, a longer one, a shorter one, whatever combination. On the first little swag that I did, I tied together with twine the 2 logs. And then I used flower wire to do the branches. And then I kind of just hook the 2 on the screw. And this time it looks kind of like a mess, but I am trying to maybe tie them together in one swoop instead. So then I can see which method I like better. This is what getting set up for a live looks like. You got to have everything laid out close, easily accessible, and extras just in case. Hey guys! See, I didn't flip my screen, so you're just going to be reading my sweatshirt backwards, but this was my Mother's Day gift. Very good Mother's Day gift. So I mentioned when I told you that I was going to be on live today at noon, or at 1, that I was going to be freezing. And believe it or not, I've been out here working all morning. Uh-oh, low network connection. Okay, so start over. Hey, I'm Brooke with the Junk Parlor. I'm out here and I'm getting ready to decorate my truck for winter. I announced that I was going to be out here doing this and to think about me as I'm freezing. And actually, I've been out here all morning trying to prep, getting rid of all the fall stuff from the truck. And I actually took my coat off because I was so sweaty. Now I am a little bit cold, but it's better than I had imagined that it was going to be. So that's a plus, right? So I am super late in decorating my Christmas truck. Normally I probably would have already had this done before Thanksgiving so that when I was open for Small Business Saturday, that it would have been decorated for Christmas. That didn't happen. The downside, not only to freezing now, but the downside to it is a lot of times I stick greenery into the old dirt that's in my flower boxes, essentially, that I've built for the truck, and all of that dirt is frozen. So I had to come up with a different game plan, knowing that I wasn't going to be able to stab anything into that frozen dirt. So what I kind of decided to do was to do swags. Now, when I am decorating pretty much anything in my house, in the shop, outside, I always have some kind of game plan about what I want it to look like, what I'm going to do. Now, does it always end up how it looked in my mind? Definitely not. Because once you start doing things that you thought were going to be proportional or good colors or whatever, when you actually do it, it looks different. So I kind of practiced a little bit this morning, and what I thought I was going to do with our swags and stuff, I kind of ended up changing my mind a little bit. And I need to remember to not do this truck in the afternoon, but in the morning or evening because of where the sun is located. But this gives you an idea. The road is here. You're basically getting the view of people that are driving by my house. I live out in the middle of nowhere, so unless somebody is living out here, cutting across to go to the lake or coming to my shop, they are never going to see my truck. But I still decorate it because that's why I bought it. So I had built these wooden flower boxes. They're just long and thin flower boxes. Well, they have lasted probably now about 3 years, and the backboard here in this month of November, it fell off. So I'm gonna have to build new boxes, but I didn't want to take it out because I wanted to do my swag and have something to screw it to. And so this board still being here is a necessity, because otherwise it's going to be really hard to clip on the truck. So when you're designing or doing things, a lot of times you want to split things up into thirds. And so I didn't want to do a swag all the way across the truck. I wanted to do more just like a swag, like little individual things. So I put one here, a screw here, that's in the center of the cab and whatever this part on the tire is called, because I can never think. And then I put one over here, and then I just kind of eyeballed what half was, and I put a screw here. So we're gonna do 3 little swags. It's a dark vehicle and it's hard to see stuff. And so because I know it's gonna have that dark background and most of the day it's in the shadow, I knew I wanted to do something that was a little bit lighter and brighter. So I already had these, I think they're some kind of birch logs that my dad had cut, and I had just bundled them with twine. Well, they're too light. They were not white birch. And so all I did this morning was spray paint them, and it's a crappy spray paint job because literally I had like 1 can of white sitting on the shelf. It was Kills, so good quality, but it must have been sitting there a while because the sprayer did not want to work. So I had to keep twisting the little thing, getting my fingers all white. But I didn't really care. You're only going to see it from the road. You wouldn't be able to tell in a picture if it's a crappy job. So I painted a bunch of these white that I had, and I like them too because these are very flaky, so it's going to reveal the wood color underneath, which I like. Then what I did is I laid them out and I decided, okay, I'm going to pair up whatever ones. I also have white spindles that I thought about using as well until I thought about these pieces that were already cut pretty much the right size, and so I decided to use those. But I picked a fatter one and a thinner one. These two are not two that I put together, and laid them out. Once I laid them out, I am like a weird person and I have saved a bunch of random twine. I do not know why. I also have twine that hasn't been utilized, but I used all my scraps. I don't know why. And so here is an example of 2 that I put together. Again, a longer one, a shorter one, a fatter one, a thinner one. You want to kind of have, different things. You don't want to have them be matchy-matchy. And then I used a chunk of twine and twisted them together. So I tied it around one log, and then I kind of did a figure 8, and then I went around both of them, and then I did a figure 8, and then I tied it off. Okay, so I wanted them to be a gap. I didn't want them to be perfectly straight up and down. Then earlier today, I went into the ditch and I used my little clipper that has the screw broke, and I replaced it a long time ago, and so far this one's held up. It doesn't keep it quite as tight, so it doesn't do the best job. But went to the ditches. There are no good, I do not know my pines. We went over this last year, or evergreens or whatever. there are basically two kinds in the ditches around me. My mom has a couple of beautiful ones, but after last year, she said I cannot cut them anymore because they don't grow back. And the one is like bigger than her house. So I just have what was in the ditch. It's free. That's all we need, right? So on this one, it's just 2-3 little twigs put together for the swag. On some of the other ones, I did probably 3 or 4. It just kind of depended on the branch. I kind of laid them out so that each of them were going to be the same length and similar fullness. And then what I did was wired them with some floral wire. Again, just stuff that I had, you know, in my craft supplies, and used some wire snips. Again, just going around it a bunch of times, because when that floral wire, it will break eventually. And so being outside, I wanted to go around it a million times. I don't want to come pick this up next week when we have 100-mile winds, which it has been crazy windy here. So these are all hooked together. Okay, I wired them together and bundled them. Then I put the two together, okay, and I wired them again. I didn't use the twine, I used the wire. And I'll show you one that's together. It's not super tight together. I've got the wires here that I'm going to put it on the truck with. And then you can see that I added a bow. The reason that I added a bow was because I needed some more color. Last year, if you watched last year's truck video, what I ended up doing, and I do something different every year. I used a lot of this burgundy burlap and worked that into my greenery and my flower boxes. I planned on using this again, but it's more muted color and it doesn't show up the greatest. And I just thought, I have this red and white ribbon from a project last year that I did, so why not use it, because it's much, much brighter and it's going to show off more. So that's what I did. All I did for that is I just cut a chunk. Whenever you're doing ribbon, always cut the end at an angle. It just makes it look more professional. And then I just tied it like I'm tying my shoes, which you would think would be easy, but I literally did a bad bow because I couldn't think about how to tie after I'd already made one. So you kind of do it loose to start with, just like you're tying your shoes. And then as you get it tighter, you're twisting it around, because this is ribbon that has the wire. So it's very, you can, shape it or whatever. I don't want my bunny ears to be too big, so I keep shaping them. And then you're just going to shape your bow and turn everything so that the right color is out. And then I used my floral wire and I ran it through the back side of the bow, and that way I can tie it on to my sprig, which I only have created 2 of them, so I really do need to make another one, and that fell out because I added it in later. Okay, so all I'm doing is taking that wire, and I had already wrapped it around a couple of these. So I am just now, you probably can't see, but I'm putting the bow on this other bundle, and then I'm going to need to, I'll scoot back a little bit. I'm going to need to wire the more wire is always better than not enough wire. I'm going to wire the greenery to our fatter logs. So I normally just kind of twist around both pieces a couple of times, and then tie it off. And then you're also, and I didn't get enough wire probably, and then you're also going to have some wire that's going to tie it onto the truck. I do have some thicker wire, and I might come back out here and retie the branches, gosh darn it, retie the branches to the truck, because this thin floral wire will break eventually for that, because it'll just keep rubbing against that screw that I screwed into the board so that we had something to hang it to. So I'm going to do this one more time. Hopefully this time I got it long enough. And you don't want to just lay that floral wire around anywhere, because then you will forget where it is and it blends into the grass pretty. And then the nice thing about this is you can save those bows for next year and reuse them somewhere else. So if you were doing it for a photo, you'd want to make sure that all of your ribbon and everything was nice and into position how you wanted it. And if you decide your greenery is not full enough, you can always fill it up a little bit more. And then, since the dirt that is still in here is like rock solid, I am going to go ahead and lay some greenery in there. Really, it's going to need to be attached down, or it's just going to fly out the first time that we have the wind. But it's too frozen. I can't like stab the twigs into the dirt like I've done in the past. So I normally just drape over the truck both directions, and then when you get to the middle, you just kind of do the best that you can. And I will do the other side of the truck because honestly I can see it when I'm looking out of my windows, so I want it to look pretty too. Okay, so again, the color is very much the same as what the branches are of the truck, so it blends in. So we have a couple of options. One, I have more of that red and white ribbon, so we can work that in. Another thing that I have a lot of is glitter garland. Now, I don't want to use the really, really old stuff, although I think this red is pretty old because it's got string in the middle. And if you had asked me if I would ever use tinsel on my vintage truck, I would have said no, but I actually really like it. So the red, if I put the red in there, you really can't see it from the road because of the shadow, and you wouldn't think about it being dark, but it is. It's just too dark, even though the red matches the red of our ribbon. So silver is an option, and I'll just kind of show you what it looks like. And all we're doing is just tucking it in. Do not just have it go straight across. Do not just have it go up and down like a roller coaster. You want to go in and out and up and down, and you want to have it be like all over the place. So it looks like there's no pattern to it, but there really is kind of a pattern to it to make it look good. So you don't want to just lay it on top. I guess that would be a good explanation. So I'm not just going to go, if I can get it untwisted. I'm not just going to do it like that, okay? I'm going to go back here and I'm going to tuck it in. I'm going to have it go to the back. I'm going to have it go to the front. I'm going to have it go underneath. There is such a contrast between the greenery and the silver that you're going to see it. So don't think that you can't tuck it in places. again, this would be why I would really want to work on getting my branches secured in some way, whether I wire that, do some more screws on my board that I still have, and wire the twigs to that, or what. And we're not going to get all the way down. There, I tried to spread it out a little bit so it would work farther down there. Now, you can stop there, or depending on what kind of things you have, like I sold a bundle of these red berries and then I went and found 2 more little picks. So if you had things like this, you can tuck those in as well into your greenery. And again, you're definitely going to want to have more than 2, but that's just what I had. And then we can take this red ribbon also and just do the same thing like we did for the garland. Now, I literally bought absolutely nothing for this. And same thing with this. As soon as the wind starts blowing, this stuff is going to be gone. So you have to take that into consideration when you're decorating as well. Now, a couple other things. You can't see it right now, but I have a skeleton driving the truck from my Halloween decor. So I think that what I'm going to do is put Santa hat on him for Christmas. And then we have a white beard from Halloween that I could not locate, but I literally just like packed it away. So I will hunt for that, and then I can put this little white beard on the skeleton as well. I think that'll be super fun. I will also put a wreath on the front of the truck. Have a couple options. This is a new wreath that I have for sale, but this one would be a good one because it has touches of red, and you could still add in some of your red ribbon in here, even if you just tied it into a knot and had 2 little strands hanging down. That would still look nice. I do have a video on making bows, like official bows, like something like this, and you could do that as well. But by using the same ribbon, it makes it all coordinate together for the truck. So you could do something new. You could also, I got this in on a pick sometime, and I didn't get it because I necessarily was going to keep it like this, although I thought it would look fine outside somewhere, decorated in my yard. But I also got it because it's got some good bells on it. And you can always buy things like this at the thrift store, garage sale, and then not even use the entire piece. This is like a ribbon on grapevine. But you can cut the things off and then use them. So I could hang this on the front of the truck kind of as my wreath. Again, adding the red and white ribbon to tie it together, or just leaving it as it is. I could also just simply take off these bells or get some plastic ornaments and tie those into these little swags as well. So that is another option. I kept the 3 milk cans in here, which I think you can just barely see on the camera. And I wanted to hang a wreath up there. Again, I'm going to use the new one from the shop, but I probably will not leave that one there. I have another wreath that I think I'm going to kind of incorporate those bells and the ribbon into, so that it, 1, I'm not ruining a $50 wreath, and 2, I can coordinate it a little bit better. My idea was, on the 3 milk cans, 2 of them have lids, 1 of them doesn't. So I put the one that doesn't have a lid into the middle of the truck. And then this shepherd's hook is about perfect height to just stick into the milk can to hang the wreath from. Problem is, this one actually has a good bottom, and so it is full of ice. So this will not go down far enough. It's just going to be moving around in there. Too much, too high. So I have this rusty crusty S hook that is just from a pile that I picked up, And so I am going to just use it on this wreath and then hang this there on the milk can. Now, you can't see it very much probably, but people coming this direction should be able to see it, and it'll look good for pictures, which, let's be honest, I need to be able to take some good pictures. The reason that I thought I would like the shepherd's hook more is because it would hold the wreath up higher. So it's probably never gonna thaw, so forget that idea. But if I come up with another idea where I can put the wreath up a little bit higher, I will probably do that. So this is the truck decorated for Christmas this year, and every year I try and do something different. Oh, and another thing that I forgot is that I always do a grouping here. So if you can see, there's like mud right here and no grass. And that is because I had 2 straw bales here for my fall decorations. I don't remember what I had for spring. I think a chair maybe. So for Christmas, to start with, was to put a wagon and do some logs here. But the problem is our colors again. It just blends in too much when it's always going to be in a shadow. So I decided against that. The next idea I had, and I had a bunch of logs over here to do this, but I'll just kind of show you, is that you could stack these logs so that they were wide and working up to a pyramid. Well, that pyramid would look like a Christmas tree. So angled towards the road, the logs would be set up like a Christmas tree. So that would be an option, and you could put a bow on the top, or you could paint the ends of the logs and do something that way too. And then one thing I've always wanted to do, and a project I wanted to give my dad, he's always doing stuff for me, so I didn't want to give him another project this year. Just use some of the scrap wood he has and make me some wood boxes that I can paint and use for packages, Christmas presents, every year. So eventually we will do that. But in the meantime, I thought that doing something like this would be a good option. Just taking some crates that I had in the barn, in my shop, and adding them here. So I can make a bow like this out of the red and white and put it up there, and then I can take some more ribbon and staple it onto the crate, and these will look like packages. So that's what I'm gonna, leave here instead of the other ideas that I had. I knew there was something that I was forgetting to tell you.